minor in art. But art was my passion all along. And so I find subconsciously as I'm designing, I'm putting threads in my painting of some sort. And in my past work, you've probably seen some of that. The threads are running through. So even in my current work, the threads are running through. And then I got the bright idea of sewing the paper to the paper. And I do that, sewing buttons to the paper. Okay, so I wanted to show you some of my inspirations and how I carried it through. When I'm working with different papers, and then I put them away, I also color coordinate them. All the oranges in one bag, all the reds in another. I know, I got a lot of thought habits. So this is some of my work. It's called the Nature Walk. And so in this particular one, I just sewed a piece of paper, actually attached a leaf to the paper, and then gessoed over it once that was dry, and then painted it. Okay, so there's a lot you can do with embedded work, and Nita Leland and Virginia Lee Williams put out the first creative collage book many years ago, and I got that idea from them. Okay, here's another one. A good abstract looks good from all four sides, but there's one side that usually works best. Okay, and this is my money plant and some of my lace, just things like that. Okay. A couple years ago, it was the year of the fish. You know anything about Chinese, whatever. And so I started working on these, and this is a stamp, but I started adding the fibers into this one. Okay, and I made that in honor to my husband, the fisherman, who ties his own flies. So I said, "This is for you, babe." And here's another one. And usually when you work in a series, it's always a good idea if you're going to work in one color, do at least three green, 3 red, 3 blue, because you know why?
No.
Because if somebody buys one, they might want a partner, and some people want 3. So you have to have at least 3 in your series. My series usually end up being in the 50s. Because I can't quit until whatever that is that's trying to come out is done. Then say, I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was a collage, Shirley, as well as painting, right?
I'm sorry?
The collage,
Yeah,
as well as painting.
yeah. Yeah, this is collage
Yeah.
with pre-painted papers. Okay, so here's another collage. Now, I started adding the string on this one. This was actually sewn on the sewing machine. And this fish was sewn on the sewing machine before I collaged it, because this was just too thick to do it. So,
Is
yes.
that on mat board?
This
like
is on
you gave us here?
watercolor paper.
Watercolor paper. Okay.
Okay. Now, this could be some of my what we did today papers,
Yeah.
because it has a watercolor feel to it. It's just still moving. That's what watercolor should do. It should still look like it's wet, still like it's moving. Okay. And then instead of cutting all these, I tore them. And when you tear them, the eye continues to move around smooth edges where if you cut it, it stops the eye. Whenever you see that, it's just like saying, okay.
And you're working in cruciform pretty much
Yeah,
with this series, yeah.
yeah. It works for me.
Yeah.
Now on this one, what was I going to say on this one? Well, I'll show it to you. I should write notes on the back of these, and then I know what I was thinking.
Like Kathleen Conover said, yeah.
I started sewing these. This is actually massive paper fish. So a lot of my massive paper papers, I see what I can draw from them, and then either cut or tear them out. Okay, so this started paper, 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 thread. Okay, sewing with a sewing machine. This led to, well, if I'm doing it on paper, why can't I do it on fabric? Duh.
Yeah.
So I started this series of about 20 of the fish on fabric. It's all fabric.
Oh my God.
And what I did was I painted the fish's
I
face.
like that.
I painted the fins, but this is all fabric. Okay. And so here's another one.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay. Here's another project that I worked on, and it's called, I actually created this, the name for it is called the motherboard. And this came, the title came from my husband because he's an electrical engineer. And it's the big board that everything starts at. It's very important. Okay, so this was the motherboard. And what I did here is I took papers, paintings that didn't work, and I just started ripping and tearing, okay? And then I started rearranging them on this paper here is, I think, illustration board. And then I made the collage. I'm pretty happy with the collage because I had no direction, no preconceived idea where this was going, okay? And then what I did is I made these little, what I call magic windows. I took mapboard and cut little windows out of different sizes and then plated across it. And then when I came up to one, I thought, well, that would work. Then I enlarged it to, this is one.
What is that?
Okay. And that one is lots of purple, orange, somewhere.
It's down there at the bottom left.
Bottom left.
This one? Well, anyway, it's in one of those little squares. So I enlarged it. So I did that a lot. So then this becomes, this is the motherboard. This is my thumbnail.
Yes.
My thumbnail.
Nice.
And if I can continue to tear the original papers that I used on here, then I can use them on here. So you have to start with a pretty big piece. Okay, from here, it could go to a 22 by 30, 36 by 48. This is, you pick one that's strong and then enlarge it and do more. Do more. Okay, now you can see this one. I see that one right over here. Okay, and I said, oh, that looks like a cat. I think I'll go ahead and mark that. All right. So this was paint. This is all paint. Trying to imitate the texture, the color that I saw over here. Okay. This is a combination of paint and collage. I was still using some of the papers that I tore. See this piece right here? That's the other part of this. Okay. So if I can reuse the collage paper, then I can reuse it on the next step. Okay. So that's a lesson in itself. Now, we're going back to what we did today. Okay. This is one that I did, I was playing, like, you have those days, some of those days you just can't get it. I mean, you can't bring it up, all your creativity, the kid in you, it just won't come. Well, how are you going to get it up? Come out wherever you are. I know you're in there somewhere. So I took a painting that was in process, like this, and I'll do, Mary, I'll do 3 or 4, 20 of them to do these, okay. And not knowing how it's going to go, but when you have a good wet into wet start, then it's like, okay, what can I do with this? Do it, put it away, come back to it later, okay. But it's gorgeous. It's just, now that can get my juices going. How many are relating to this?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. That's what it's supposed to do. Now, how many thinks it's finished? Here's the
It's
it's for sale. This is what I tell my students. It isn't finished until it's sold. Okay? Now, that means you have plenty of opportunity to go back and play with it. Because you're the artist and you can say when you think it's finished. But if it's still sitting in the drawer and it hasn't sold, What does it need?
White
A
gesso.
buyer.
White gesso.
So this started like this. All right, and then I played with it like we did today. Working around the wet into wet, working with the watercolor crayon, the watercolor pencil, and you know, there's also like metallic gold and metallic copper in this big one. Okay. So that's how I did this. And then as I'm working now, I'm just playing, okay? Play. You're 6 years old. You don't care if it turns out. You're just playing because you're trying to get the juices going. At a stopping point, you say, I don't know where else to go. Okay, when you don't know what to do to your painting, the answer is always, it needs a light or a dark or both. It needs a light and a dark or both. So as soon as I put that black in there, it went pop. Okay, and then I had to have my peekaboos. That's where you repeat it. You see those spotty darks?
Yeah.
They're not spotty darks, those are my peekaboos.
They're well designed shapes.
And they're a variety of shape and size.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they
that's the
move
other
your
thing
eye
for it.
around.
Yeah, you have to have a bigger one. And my goal is to touch. I'm an aerial perspective person when I paint. That's one of my formats. And so I like to touch all four sides. Okay. This is another one. This is a student friend of mine who lives out in the woods. She has a little A-frame, and she goes out and sits on a rock or whatever, and then she does these little things. And she also uses the watercolor crayon. And then before she's finished, she goes over and then delineate with the Sharpie pen, makes the details. And so it's simply stated, but even though it's got the black Sharpie pen, it's still delicate. It spells out what it is, and yet there's an element of unfinished quality to this that allows the viewer to finish it herself.